believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly, and I believe I can fly.
You got something I need. In this world full of people, there's one love in me.
Have a great day, everyone. Welcome once again to our Health Vlogginar. The JERVIN Eagle Viewpoints will be focusing on topics to educate and enrich our streamers regarding good, healthy habits. Our topic for the moment is Sauteed lungs, or in the dialect, binupis nga baga, Health Vlogginar number 3, Respiratory Health. This is your content provider and health educator, Bros Gonzaga Jr., known to my students as Sir Noy, a registered nurse, and a veteran health educator, happily extending the message of health through our vlog platform. In this vlog, we will have a PowerPoint presentation which will be in Ilonggo or Hiligaynon, but the verbal lecture will be in English. Vlogmates, the purpose of this is to reach also our locally based streamers who are interested with our health messages. It is our hope that you will still be with us in the vlogging community when we shift our attention to health-based contents. Our third health topic deals with the respiratory health, specifically with the well-being of our lungs. Our lungs were devised by God to be the controller of our aeration in the body. It controls the going in and going out of air and also the oxygenation of the systems and the cells in particular, for all of them cannot survive without oxygen. So the lungs is one of the body organs with terminal functional capacity, failure of which can lead to termination of life. One of the most rare but very wanted menu in the street is called binupis nga baga. It is very rare that people are dying to have it. Well, the picture is actually there, the one on the plate. This delicacy is called in English as sauteed lungs or binupis nga baga. This is actually lungs of animals. It can be the lungs of a cow, a carabao, or a chicken. However, what if the lungs that will be sauteed is not of the animal but it's yours? What will happen if man is actually sauteing his own lungs? Will the lungs still function? Will this bring something negative or something bad as an effect not only to the respiratory system but to the whole body of the person? Now, what if it will be completely burnt? Do you know the answer? Vlogmates, what is your answer? Well, if you do not know the answer, this is our vlog focus for this moment. Kindly tune in as we will study sauteed lungs, or in the dialect, binupis nga baga. Now, let us discover why is it possible that we will burn or we will saute our own lungs. Are there things that we are doing to our body, especially to our lungs, so much so that it will result into a defect or a dysfunction? Now, what if we are not doing something wrong to our lungs? Is it still possible that because other people are doing something wrong, we will still have our lungs being sauteed? Well, our text for consideration in this vlog is found in Proverbs 17 verse 10. It says, "A sensible person accepts correction, but you can't beat sense into a fool." This text is trying to say that a fool, no matter how much you teach them, they will not obey because they know what is right and they just choose to do what is wrong. That is actually the essence of this. Now, let us try to examine the purposes and functions of our lungs. Why is it considered one of the most important organs in the body of man? The purpose and function of the human lungs. The primary and simplest function of the human lungs is to convert the air that we breathe through our nose into the oxygen that will be needed by our body for it to be functional. Remember, not all contents of the air that we breathe are actually needed for the circulation of oxygen in our body. There are actually wastes and there are dirt byproducts that we need to eliminate from that air, and that is what the lungs is primarily created to function. Another function of the lungs is it entails the entrance of oxygen and the exit of carbon dioxide. So every time we breathe, that is oxygen. Every time we exhale, that is carbon dioxide. So the lungs is becoming the manager who comes in and who comes out of the lungs so that the body will become healthy. The next part is a question for us, dear vlogmates. What are we really doing that ends up with our lungs being sauteed? Are these negative health habits also done by you? What are the things that we do that cause our lungs to be sauteed? Number one, of course, is smoking. Cigarette smoking. So there are actually two effects of smoking to our body. Let us first take up smoking by virtue of the chemical found in the cigarette, which is nicotine in blood circulation. Now, when you inhale smoke from the cigarette, okay, this will go into the lungs, and from there on, it will convert the chemicals into chemicals that will be functional in the body. This is actually where nicotine is being formed. Now, it will go into actual circulation. Okay, the problem here is, if you are a meat eater or an oil eater, your blood vessels is already thick because of the presence of cholesterol. Okay, so here is the evidence. Now, if you are a smoker, the cholesterol plus the nicotine will make actually the blood vessels of your body very, very narrow. And that is very dangerous, because if blood cannot circulate in the body, that will become very deadly and it can cause death. Now, so what will happen here? If you look at this illustration here, this is the blood vessel. This is actually the thickening of the cholesterol, and this is your nicotine. Now, you can just see here there's already complete blockage. So this area will become very big and thinner. This area will become very small and it will necrotize and it will die. Both of these areas are danger areas because of the presence and the blockage caused by cholesterol and nicotine. And this can result to death. Now, What do we call the result when the nicotine stops blood circulation? We call that as narrowed artery. Narrow because the whole of the blood vessels are becoming very, very small until the time that blood cannot pass by anymore and the rest of the body cannot receive nutrition, cannot receive oxygen, and eventually all of them will become weak and they will die. So, here is what we are trying to say earlier. If there is actually nicotine deposition here, okay, so blood is coming from this area. You can just see that this area is becoming very big because of the blockage in this area, and this area here will become very thin because there is no supply of blood. So this area here, which is becoming very big and thin, this is what we call aneurysm. If it happens in the abdomen, it is called abdominal aortic aneurysm. And the problem with this is it becomes deadly when this area will rupture because blood will come out and then there will be internal hemorrhage and that can result into quick death. Now, if the blockage caused by nicotine will be nearer to the heart or in the heart itself, so the heart will be ordered to pump because it has to reach all the parts of the body. However, the heart noticed that even how much it's pumping, it cannot reach the extreme parts of the body, the leg, the brain, and the other parts. It will still continue to push harder in pumping. Later on, the heart will become tired because its pumping is only stopped in this area. It will create aneurysm in that area and maybe thinning in this necrosis in this area. But the point here is the heart will become tired and the heart will eventually succumb into a state wherein it will fail to function anymore. This is what we call heart attack, and the technical term for this is myocardial infarction or MI. Next, if the nicotine will pull and will make a blockage in one of the blood vessels in the brain, then same thing happens. So you can see here, here is the blockage. Because there is blockage here, the source of blood is from this area. You are developing here a sort of aneurysm, and this area is becoming dead or beginning to weaken and die because of the absence of blood, and this is where the stroke happens. So stroke is defined as the area of the blood vessels that is not being perfused or the area of the blood vessels that is not reached by blood, and that area dies, and that is what we call stroke. Technically, that is called cerebrovascular accident or CVA. Now, another thing that will happen to a chain smoker is Buerger's disease. What is Buerger's disease? Buerger's disease is actually a problem in circulation wherein the farther parts of the body is not reached by the blood circulation because the farther parts of the body are being blocked by nicotine. So example, the hand is not being reached by blood, the foot is not being reached by blood. The tendency is this area will become blackened or darkened because there is no blood supply anymore. So tendency is when there is no blood supply, this area will become rotten. When this area will become rotten, it will be attractive to microorganisms such as bacteria. So when bacteria goes into this area, you have to cut this area before it infects the other parts of the body. That's why chain smokers, especially when they started very young, will have fingers like this or a below the knee or sometimes above the knee amputation. This is collectively known as the Buerger's disease. Now, smoking affects also the other part of the body, which is the lungs. Earlier, we talked about nicotine in circulation. Now, let's talk about nicotine in the lungs. So, when you put that cigarette into your mouth, okay, everything that you inhale will go to your lungs, and in the lungs, the chemicals will separate, and then it will form the nicotine, and nicotine will paste itself into the lung walls and lung area. And then, if it is pasted there already, it will be hard for it to be removed. And the effect is, because these are chemicals, it will burn the lungs. This is now what we are referring to as sauteing the lungs or binupis na baga. Okay? After some time that you continue to smoke and nicotine is pasted on the wall of the lungs, it becomes blacker. And the blackened area will not be restored anymore. So that is typically a sauteed lungs already. Now, it will little by little shrink the size of the lungs. Now, after that, it will crinkle the lungs. And because of the size deterioration and the crinkles on its surfaces, the lungs will be able to house only a fewer amount of oxygen, which is not enough to supply the whole body. That is why there goes already the respiratory symptoms like coughing, weakening, lethargy, disorientation, and even asthma. Okay, now you can see it here. On the left side, this is already, okay, a lungs that was sauteed. And on the right side, this is already a lungs that was burned completely due to chain smoking. Now, if there will be no changes in the habits of the person who is smoking, even if there are already signs of lung deterioration, there are already signs of having TB, pneumonia, or all kinds of lung defects, but still there is continuous use of cigarette and nicotine is there, then it will result to a point wherein the defects of the lungs will not anymore be reversible. Now, this description is referring to lung cancer. And until the present time, there is no accurate remedy for a lung cancer. And people in this state really suffers a lot because lungs is our way of breathing. So if you cannot breathe, little by little, you will feel like you're being drowned because that is how a lung cancer kills its victim. Now, dear vlogmates, this will paralyze your lungs. Smoking will paralyze your lungs. If your lungs are paralyzed, your breathing will be paralyzed, and a person who is not breathing will surely die. So therefore, do not wait for the time when your lungs will be paralyzed because you failed to understand that you have to protect your lungs because this is a life-saving organ. Here is a message to nanay and tatay, to papa and to mama. Mama, papa, if you have already accepted that you will lost your son after 10 years, or you will have a son or a daughter that has no more hands and no more feet after 10 years of smoking, then do not scold them. Do not let them go away from smoking. But if you are concerned, please tell them now to stop smoking when their bodies are still complete. Here is the message to the children who are listening to us. Sa mga anak, Okay. Tuto and Inday, if you have accepted already that after some years, your father will die of lung cancer, your mother will die of lung cancer because of smoking, and they are always smoking, then do not scold them or do not tell them to stop smoking. But if you do not want your parents to go early and you will become an orphan early, find ways to let them understand that it is high time for them to already stop smoking, because there is no other way to cheat death than just to stop smoking. There are some respiratory facts that we need to know in order for us to protect our lungs from being sauteed. Let us try to understand completely these 5 facts that may hold the key to make our lungs healthy. 5 important facts that smokers should know. First, lung cancer has no accurate cure or accurate remedy. Even if you are a rich person, if you will have lung cancer, you can just extend your life, but you can never be assured of not ending in death because you will still die. Second, smoking is not only bad for those who are using it, but also for people who are not using it. Imagine, dear vlogger, if you are smoking, you will have filter, but the people around you, they don't have filter. So good for you because the filter can only let you absorb 50% of the toxins, but people around you who don't have filters will be able to absorb 100% of the toxins you are trying to emit by that cigarette. And that will cause them to die first before you will. Third, smoking has a very great disadvantage to a person who is pregnant, or even just to a second-hand smoker who is pregnant. What are we trying to say here? If you are not smoking, but if you are still exposed to a husband who is smoking, it is still very dangerous. Remember, you do not have filters. Now everything that you will inhale, it will go directly into the lungs. Everything that will go into the lungs will also go into circulation. And study showed us that because of the nicotine that is stopping circulation, this will affect the newborn, shall we say the fetus, because it will have abnormal supply of oxygen, leading to the abnormal growth and the abnormal formation of the baby inside the stomach of the pregnant mother. Next, cigarette is one form of drug. It is just a commercial and a legal drug that we can buy everywhere. As for me, until now, I don't understand why government cannot stop people from buying cigarette, because this is also a drug in itself. However, we have to bear with this because cigarette selling is also business. But I will assure you, dear vlogmates, cigarette smoking has no difference with illegal drug usage because they just have the same effect. It will destroy your mental concept, it will destroy your circulation, and eventually promote death. And the most easy thing that we can lost is our life. Now that we know how do each of us is sauteing our lungs, what do we need to do in order to prevent this from happening to our beloved lungs? Let us now see some points of clarification why we need to avoid smoking. Okay, here is a survey that has something to do with cancer. The leading cause of cancer in the Philippines is lung cancer, that is 43%. Then, second is breast cancer, that is 27%. Third is gastric and intestinal or stomach cancers, 20%. And other kinds of cancers in the Philippines, 10%. It is very, very glaring that almost half of the population of people who die with cancer in the Philippines die because of lung cancer. And a great percentage of it is because of cigarette smoking. Now, take a good look at this picture. When you are smoking, it is just like you are burning the whole house. Why? Because it is not only sauteing your lungs. You are sauteing your wife's lungs. You are sauteing your children's lungs. And you are sauteing the lungs of every people inside the house. That is why it is just like burning the whole house. Now, take a look at this picture. This is an actual child of a smoking mother. When we said earlier that circulation was disrupted, it was not only a simple disruption, but some of the parts of the body of this child did not even grow, because during the time that this child needs to grow, the circulation is very poor. Therefore, it has no food for the bones, food for the skin, food for the organs of the child, and the child appeared very, very small and very, very abnormal in structure. Now, if the child can survive and the child will become structurally normal, another way that smoking can affect the person when the parents are chain smoker is the person may end up with, or the baby will end up with mental retardation. Why? Because smoking stops circulation. So if circulation cannot reach the baby's mind will not have something to it. The baby's mind will be defected. And when there will be defects that will be seen there, one of the first that will really correspond to that is retardation. At the end of the day, only people who will listen will eventually have the chance to save their lungs and prevent it from being a dysfunctional bupis. But this health sharing will always leave words of reminders to those who are still struggling to stop this vice. Just a simple reminder, dear vlogmates. If you are still smoking, are you already ready to saute your own lungs? If you are still smoking, are you already ready to little by little burn and completely fire out your whole lungs? If you are still smoking, are you already ready to face the child that will come out of your wife's womb? And the child will look like a baby monster because it is very small, very jelly-like, and a child that does not look like a human because of the nicotine influence to the infant that was born. If you are still smoking, are you ready to kill yourself and the whole family? Because when you are smoking, secondhand smoke can also kill the whole members of the household. Dear vlogmates, we still have time. You still have time. You can still stop smoking and live a very happy life. In fact, you have to stop smoking and live a wonderful life. Because if you will continue smoking, one day soon you will wake up that you will have already a sauteed lungs. Not only you, including your family, including your loved ones, they will suffer with you because of your irresponsibility. Vlogmates, you still have time to change. Let us go back to the biblical verse that we have opened earlier. Proverbs 17 verse 10, it says, "A sensible person accepts correction, and you can't beat sense into the fool." Please do not accept that you are a fool, because this health education will have a hard time teaching you to do what is right. Dear vlogmates, I hope you have understand and have wholeheartedly taken by heart the reason why we need to be away from lung distractors. It doesn't really matter if you are the one smoking or somebody is smoking in your house. Either way, this will end up in the sauteing of the lungs that may even reach the point of languishing in a lung cancer. Before it's too late, before any parts of our body will be amputated, before we can fall down unconscious and fighting for our dear life, before our breathing will cease to go on. Vlogmates, it's about time to stop smoking and free your lungs from all the threat and dangers that it is facing. With a joyful heart and an elated lungs, your content provider, Pros Gonzaga Jr., a registered nurse and experienced health educator, will always be here to conduct more sensible reminders regarding our health. Stay tuned for the next topic that we will discuss in our health Vlogginar. This is the JERVIN Eagle Viewpoints, and that's the way the eagle hooked the prey. Let us make our aspiration excellent as we will continue to live each day with a smile. Vlogmates, God bless.
If we're